If you want to enter our new Xbox and PS5 giveaway, all you have to do is subscribe and leave a comment. We'll be picking a subscriber to win out of the comments. Unfortunately, there exists no back catalog of every single person to find themselves on the WWE blacklist throughout the years, but through context clues and the history of one Vincent Kennedy, I got a good feeling all of these entries will fall into line. Whether the fans tried hopping the barricade and testing their luck against professional athletes, or pushing just the right buttons of one Mr. McMahon, I'm the Wicket, and here's 9 different fans who are probably, most likely, banned from the WWE. Number 9, the Orton Low Blower. The easiest way to guarantee yourself a blacklist from the Big W's live events is to hop the barricade and try interfering with the action. As a general rule of thumb for everyone listening, wrestling is at its best when wrestlers are in the ring wrestling and fans are in the crowd booing the hell out of Roman Reigns. Feels good to finally say that for the right reasons. The man who attended a Brazilian live event that decided his best course of action was to jump the barricade and hit a low blow on Randy Orton during a top rope pose. He tried his hardest to disprove that theory by making a moment all for himself. Unfortunately for him, all it really gave him was a good few kicks from the Viper and a ban from all future events. Number 8. Polling at the Raven's Nest. Raven was one of the most unique wrestlers of his era, with the grunge aesthetic perfectly coinciding with his promo style, and damn could the man cut some mean promos. He'd often lounge during the promos, literally lying on the turnbuckles as if daring someone to come from behind and attack him, and one day, someone finally did. Except, it wasn't a wrestler. Some fan during a WCW Nitro hopped the barricade to successfully pull Raven between the ropes to the outside below, and while Raven handled himself with the utmost professionalism by sliding himself right back into the ring and continuing as if nothing even happened, the foolish fan kept kicking and screaming at security his entire way out. I'm not sure if WCW fan bans would have carried over to the Big Dub, but let's hope just in case this guy's planning a comeback for the 2021 Royal Rumble.
As you move next. What's this about? What is going on here?
Number 7. I shaved my balls for this. Well, that's a detour. Another great way to find yourself on the way out of the building with no clear signs back in. Doesn't have to even take place during a wrestling event per se. At least ones with actual wrestling in them. You see, wrestlers have a lot of press that they have to do, whether it be with the media, or fans, or this, that, or the other, and one bad interaction can leave you on the please do not come back here, please don't make us sick the big meaty men on you, specifically when it comes to male fans and female talent. Feels bad knowing that every single woman wrestler has probably had hundreds upon thousands of cringeworthy interactions throughout the years with potentially perverted fans, and very non-potentially legitimately perverted fans. But there's a fine line between cringeworthy and full-on creeper mode, and while I can't confirm it, I have a feeling there's a special place in WWE's version of Time Out for absolute chads like this fella who show up with the I shaved my balls for this t-shirt. I have never seen Alexa Bliss look so bewildered in her life, and she is literally being mind-controlled by a psycho Death Kids show clown right now. Number 6. Fans who wear AEW merch. While WWE seems to have loosened up over the last year in regards to doing everything in its power to stomp out the pissant t-shirt company, last October when Dynamite kicked off, things were a little bit different. Besides just moving NXT to the USA Network as live competition a whole 2 weeks ahead of the Dyna debut, and poaching as much talent as they could and still possibly can muster, WWE was sending out threats to fans that they'd be banned from all events for just wearing AEW or AEW-related merchandise. For a few weeks at least, stories kept coming out about fans getting legit thrown out of arenas for simply supporting WWE's competition, and while yeah, some of those fans are clearly just trying to get a rise out of WWE, that doesn't mean you childishly stoop to their level and fight it back. Then again, this is WWE, so who's really that shocked?
The guy got thrown out earlier for wearing an AEW shirt.
Now they're allowing it.
Now they're allowing it. They weren't before.
Yeah.
So I had to go do all that for no reason.
Number 5, the third member. One of my all-time favorite moments from the bizarre side of wrestling, Night of Champions 2015's big hook was that the Shield offshoot, the brothers of Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose, would be taking on the Wyatt family, with a mystery opponent tagging alongside the former stablemates. While Chris Jericho would eventually be the third member, another potential pick was teased just moments before Y2J made his entrance. Some fan dressed in Shield gear hopped in the ring and shouldered his way right between Ambrose and Reigns, Reigns for just a split second having one of the funniest pictures in all of wrestling, making for legit one of the most wholesome, in an odd way, fan barricade hopping moments of all time. Obviously, WWE didn't see it as such and still had to handle their business, but Bray Wyatt pointing him down and shouting, "That's your man," instead of just ignoring it, was gold. Number 4, a complete idiot. Of all the matchups to possibly consider interfering in, why would anyone go with Steve Austin versus Triple H? Steve's literally named Stone Cold. He's the Texas Rattlesnake sumbitch who would happily whoop some ass if it meant keeping kayfabe kicking, and while Triple H might not seem like he'd be as big of a threat, you would be sorely mistaken if you've seen any of these interactions with him before. He doesn't exactly come off as the kind of guy who takes blemishes to the ego lightly, and jumping in the ring to risk the integrity of his favorite company, that earns you a special spot on the list of people catching fists. And after a fan decided it was best to jump in the ring after a match pitting Austin and H, the game decided that playtime was over and hit the game over button on this man's entire livelihood. The fan went for Austin, but that did not matter. He got Triple H, and he got him in the form of 15 or so flying fists wailing down in quick, brutal succession. Number 3, an even bigger idiot. Man, you'd think after it made waves that Triple H had such a reputation with moronic fans trying to make themselves famous that they'd, take a hint and back the f*** off. This one is infinitely dumber. Rushing a pair of wrestlers is incomprehensible at best, but at least they're both more than capable of manhandling the average-sized fan, and thus aren't really too concerned, so they might not, be fighting for their life per se. Triple H was definitely concerned when he realized that a fan had hopped onto the ramp and was rushing towards his soon-to-be mother-in-law, Linda McMahon, an older woman who definitely wouldn't have such innate confidence, especially considering in kayfabe, she was meant to be drugged up and wheelchair-bound. The dude could have seriously caused a stir, whether it was injuring a defenseless woman or shattering the suspension of disbelief of the storyline, and suffice to say, Triple H didn't exactly solve this conundrum with words.
It's Linda McMahon, Vince's wife, Jane Stephanie's mama. What is this?
Number 2, Enzo Amore. Does Enzo really even count for a list like this? The former WWE employee decided to take the viral route to keep his momentum up after his wrestling career mostly came to an end. He'd pull stunts like egging wrestlers on to real fights on Twitter, including an interaction with Joey Janela at some weird festival. He'd make a kayfabe return to wrestling by hopping the barricade at a Ring of Honor show alongside Big Cass, and, of course, his magnum opus of trying to remain relevant, his attempted takeover of Survivor Series 2018. And maybe takeover's a bit dramatic, but the dude snuck in with a fake name and disguise before reviewing himself in the front row during the Bar versus AOP, ushering his section of the crowd into pandemonium and swiftly meeting the security guards. And number 1, David Benoit. I guess we're ending this one on a specific and saddened note. The only fan I actually can pinpoint the name of as an individual and say that there's no chance they'll be allowed near WWE programming is Chris Benoit's son, David. Being Chris's eldest son from a different marriage, he was luckily not involved in the double murder-suicide, although luckily is the absolute wrong word for this scenario. And as Dark Side of the Ring showed, David and his family members were completely cut off, excommunicated from the WWE following the tragic events. They haven't heard from them till this day, and WWE is keen on keeping the Benoit name far removed from their programming these days, which unfortunately includes David, who is training to become a professional wrestler.
We wanted to be tag team champions. That's what we wanted to do. Be the tag team champions of the world together.
And those are 9 fans banned from WWE forever. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments down below. After like the video, subscribe to the channel, and notifications, ring that bell.